What happened to the kids during that? I heard some of them were shipped out. They closed
Some,
some
yeah,
cottages.
certainly some were sent out for purchase of service in other institutions. Mostly though, they had the supervisors, and it was also probation supervisors. There may have been some others that they had working, picking up the shifts. They were making trustees out of, at least from what I saw, inmates that wouldn't necessarily have made a trustee out of myself, but when you have to control a population, sometimes you need the larger, meaner inmates to kind of take control, you know. So they were getting extra privileges. From what we understood, we watched steaks, for instance, over at Woodview. We watched boxes of steaks come in regularly and stuff. And it was our understanding that the inmates that had been chosen to kind of be the leaders were eating steaks, watching HBO. Oh, an HBO dish went up magically. Pirated. Believe it or not, it was not a legal HBO dish. I know that operation too. It's another story. But there was a point in time when there were cables running through sewers to connect things like this and stuff to get across the street from building to building that certainly HBO wasn't aware of. But at any rate,
So they were basically trying to appease the kids to keep them in line, so to speak, rather than deal with them the way that you guys have to.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it was whatever they took to buy them off. Call them. Oh, they were bringing in movies besides HBO too. I know that you'd see people coming in with an armful of movies and that. It seemed like maybe the guidelines were getting fudged a bit compared to what we were allowed to entertain them with. But
Now I saw that the final number I saw was that Hennepin County ended up spending $322,000 in overtime for supervisors.
it was outrageous. At one point, I ran into the county administrator. I was down at the government center. Some days I'd be in front of the courthouse. Some days my post would be the government center. And I ran into Ken at the time, and well, we normally got along. He was going down an escalator. He was kind of scooting ahead. He didn't really want to have to talk to me. But I caught him going down the elevator, and I asked him if the supervisors were going to make more money than he was that year. And in fact, they were. He was surprised how many of them paid cash for brand new cars that year. And they flaunted it, you know, because when we knew these people.
Right.
Yeah, there was a lot of money to be made by a handful of people who worked round the clock.
Now,
Oh, and apparently even while they slept, they were on the clock.
they were on the clock even while they slept. Wouldn't that be nice? We'd have been fired for something like that. Now, there was a on February 6th, the county made an offer, and the paper was reporting that Jack Mogelson refused to even bring it to the members because it was too similar to the first one. That's the old Star from back then. Then on February 18th, you guys entered the county board meeting. About 150. Do you remember that?
Yes. I hate to say what really broke the strike. When we were getting into the 7th week, again, a lot of things went on. Well, you and I had pre-talked about some of this, and a lot of things went on, and a lot of things were reported and were the official story that weren't necessarily what all of us that were living this in the trenches were about. By the 7th week, we were almost all family people, and people were broke. I had my car up in my yard. I had taken, it was up on blocks. I had taken the tires off and removed engine parts to keep the bank from coming and getting it. I was paying simply interest on my mortgage, which was still most of the payment. The strike fund at that time, it was like $25 a week. So, you know, like most family people, we were already living practically, you know, by each check, and now we weren't even getting that. So, pretty much the members were getting beat up. There was the time where we had to tell Jack, you know what, we think we've got some respect. They figured out we got, you know, that we got some muscle, and that we aren't gonna just stand around and be treated poorly, but we got to get back to work. And candidly, some of the members were gonna go regardless. So then Jack started doing things to, of course, try and keep the image together publicly. And by the 9th week, had we not called, as I think we got a $300 signing bonus, as I recalled, in the final offer Jack had.
Okay.
And while that seems like a pittance now, at the time it was literally a matter of food on the table for a lot of folks. So we pretty much had to go back. 9 weeks had stretched us. And
So what was the main gains that the union members gained by that then?
downtown, we did get to pick shifts. We still weren't able to really select the units, although even the selection process of that had improved. They were at least letting us put in our preference, and a lot of the time that was even being honored. Again, it wasn't a card we held totally, but more so, I think we were just treated better. We were looked upon a little differently, like, well, gee, this is a group of people that really can pull together, and maybe it's better to have them pull together on their side instead of against them. But certainly they will never forget that, at least those that were part of it at the time. And there were some pretty hard feelings. It took time. Not all the supervisors. It's one thing what happens upstairs or downtown, you know how it goes.
Right.
And there's another thing that's happening down at the local government level. The bad feelings took a real long time to go away for some folks, some on our side and some of the supervisors. Folks that worked, say, over at Woodview or in St. Paul, which was a sister institution we were renting. Their cars, for instance, weren't drivable pretty much through the whole strike. All their tires were flat. Had they attempted to replace them, well, then those were flat. And at one point, in fact, the entire police force of Roseville's tires were flat, including the chief, who was screaming bloody murder at the woods, where he figured a bunch of us were hiding. Somehow the road had gotten littered with T-nails going into Woodview, and there was one road into this place, and it was a segregated private area where they had an institution out in the woods. And somehow that got littered with these T-nails, and for whatever reason, one squad after another just kept rolling in there, and of course all their tires went flat. Finally the chief showed up, and well, his tires went flat. Now he's screaming at the woods, where he figures we are apparently, and saying this has just got to end. Well, then this big flatbed shows up with dozens and dozens of tires on it to replace them all. Well, he drives right down the road, so now all his tires are flat. So, there was some hard feeling from our side. These people were taking our jobs. They were kind of smiling as they went in and out. Some of them were downright flipping us off and stuff.
And making better money than you.
And buying brand new cars and stuff and flaunting it. So yeah, there were some very hard feelings. Some things happened along the way. It took years to go away.
Now the newspaper also reported that there was 2 instances of strikers being hit by cars on the picket lines.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I was at either one of those incidents. I was at one where they were bringing in some inmates in one of their vans, and there were supervisors, and one of them got pretty nervous, and it was a close call. And it was kind of like he was just expecting trouble. Apparently someone may have actually ran that van off the road out on the freeway earlier, but I was not there. I was not at my post. That was kind of a close call. He kind of rushed the ramp because he wasn't sure what was going to happen next, but no one was hit there. So I can't attest to the actual incidents. I wasn't there. I heard about them secondhand.
Okay, so for roughly 2 months, Teamsters Local 320 was out on strike, and